Right. Well, guys, it's just me today. So we're in my office instead of in the tower. Dave is traveling and talking to clients and doing some partner stuff, and so here we are. I may pull Paul Boomer off the bench. Paul is the one who does all the tech stuff that helps us understand how to run these things. But he's also a Wizard of Ads partner, and so if I need somebody to bounce some things off of, he's a good person to ask. But we'll go ahead and get started. Glad you guys are here. So, oh God, Kevin, really know how to start a Friday morning. How to deal with committees. I've read things from Roy about how he doesn't work with committees and only works with the business owner. Yes, I don't like to work with committees, but sometimes I don't have a choice. The committee might be 20 real estate agents sharing the cost of the campaign. Yeah, I've heard that. 6 employees who are advising on the advertising for the company. Yes, I've encountered that. The mother-in-law, the accountant, and the neighbor's dog groomer. Also encountered that. No matter who the committee is, they have the need to put their stamp on things, tone down the creative, and generally have zero of their own money invested. Yes, always accurate. Do Wizard of Ads, our wizard partners, have to deal with committees? Sort of. So, looking for advice on how to be more effective. Okay. Hey, Kevin, you can unmute if you want, because I'm going to talk to you directly a little bit here. Um, you're not going to like the first answer, but I'm going to answer the question as asked in a few other variations. Fair? So the first answer is the Wizard of Ads partners are under strict rules that, if at all possible, without embarrassing the business and yourself and the business owner, when you find out you're in a committee situation, you leave. Now we have that flexibility to say no to a committee decision, or to tell the business owner, hey, when we first discussed this, it was you and me, and I made that clear. And now you're starting to involve the opinion of these other 3 people. I'm not interested in that. So either it goes back to what we agreed it was going to be, or we need to part ways. That is a luxury, that position, right? Um, when it comes to radio, you sort of have to kind of take who you get in a lot of circumstances if you're trying to fill the schedule, right? So you don't necessarily get the luxury of kicking people to the curb unless you've got a line of people behind them. Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Okay. So then I'm going to answer the question as asked on my, I guess intended, which is I'm in that position, help. And I've only ever, I'm going to start by saying I have never seen it go great, but I have a couple of times seen it be not a complete steaming pile. So let me say, at first, this is complicated, but you asked a complicated question, and this might be a longer answer than you're looking for. First, I'm going to say there's kind of 2 kinds of clients that we have to assume. One is just the knucklehead who doesn't understand any of this, doesn't really understand what you're trying to accomplish, doesn't understand good communication. You might talk to them about rhino and porcupine and third gravitating bodies. It's going to go over their head. That's going to be the 20 real estate agents. They want to tick off all the boxes from that corporate meeting that they went to last month where they paid $150 and someone taught them about how to do effective real estate radio ads. You know what I mean? And for those people, you follow the rule that we follow with the partner group, which is at the end of the day, if this is your client, then what the client wants is what goes. I would gently put in parameters of like, hey, look, I'll run this for you because you're our client and this is what you asked. I'll let you know that we've seen these kinds of things not be that effective. And I can give you reasons why, but you didn't ask for them. So unasked for advice is the junk mail of life. And so I'm going to leave it alone and just do what you asked for. But if you ever want to talk through effectiveness of radio advertising, I'd love to sit down with you and your whole team, but I need anybody who has an opinion to be there. And I'm just going to walk you through, here's what we've done in the past. Here's what we've seen not work. This ad is not going to harm your brand, but it's probably not going to have the impact you're looking for. And here's the reasons why. And you just see if you can buy a little bit of their time and give them a free coaching session, basically. Right. And then you stop and let it alone and take their money until they stop giving it to you because their ads don't work. Um, the second client is the one who wants to do well. They just don't know, and they care about their staff or they're influenced by their board, and so they need to include their opinions for some reason. Those people are a little easier to help, and that breaks you into a whole other category. And I'm saying this is complex because it is complex. The If you're in the category of like the good intentioned jewelry store owner who wants his employees to have a voice, then you need to have a sit down conversation, but first with just them, saying, here's how this works, here's what doesn't work, here's why this is a bad idea. Now your intention's good, but here's how it will go wrong. Um, and then if they still want to include those people, then you say, that's great, but I need everyone to read these things. And actually what we do is we'll send them Roy's books. And one of my favorite things that one of our partners said, Stephen Simple, was if he's got a marketing director who really has an opinion and won't stop because they've just hired this person and he continues to have an opinion, he'll mail them the book and he'll ask the business owner, hey, I'm fine with people having opinions, but they need to know the whole conversation that we've had before now. They need to be up to speed. And to be up to speed the fastest would be for them to read this book. And it's a really quick read. I mean, it's 2-page chapters, right? So they can read it during their morning bathroom habits. And they're allowed to have an opinion once they've read the book. Once they've read the book, then they're allowed to have an opinion. Before then, they can attend the meeting, but they're not allowed to have an opinion. And then as soon as they've read the book, then we're all talking about the same things and we can talk about it. But at the end of the day, I need to know that somebody here can pull the trigger on saying, these are all a lot of really great ideas. Here's what we're going with. And it's either got to be you and then I do it, or it's got to be me and then I do it. But waiting until all 6 people in the room all agree, that's never going to happen. I mean, try to go to lunch and get 6 people to agree. See how that works, let alone advertising. Um, Paul had a comment when we were off camera before this thing started that he said, um, well, I mean, it was say it again, Paul, because you said it better and it's hazy in my head now because I had an addendum to that, but
Yeah. So
not.
basically, I have a client right now who is, I'm going through this, and you need to ask them, hey, how much do you want me to push back? Do you want me to be the bad guy in these scenarios? And sometimes it gives that business owner the ability to shrug, go, he said we need to do it because he agrees with you, but he doesn't want to be that bad guy. So that is another way of addressing it, is taking that hit for them.
Yeah, and for me, I like that because that only to me that wouldn't work with the realtors example, and it wouldn't work if you have like a board of directors because they can overrule that. But it would work if the people who are screwing with the plan are staff. Um, and like I don't know if you guys had this, but when I was a kid, anytime I got a call from somebody I didn't want to hang out with, my mom had this rule. She's like, you can just tell them your mom won't let you go if you need an excuse, but you don't want to feel bad. And it's sort of like that. It's like, sorry guys, we hired this person. They said we have to do this. My hands are tied now. We've paid them, right? But you definitely need their sign off. I think no matter what with a business owner like that, and this is what I'd said earlier with Paul, no matter what, no matter which one of these scenarios it is, the only thing you can do to help is be very blunt and upfront in the first meetings when you're only with that person and there's no one's ego at play except for yours and theirs, and just explain very calmly and gently, like, here's why this is a terrible idea. Here's how this goes wrong. Here's how this waters down the message. But I understand that sometimes life is more complicated than the best case scenario, even for you as an owner. And so my role is to serve you and do what you need done or want done and what you ask for whatever reasons are driving those decisions. But I need you to know up front that the moment we start watering down the plan, the less impactful the plan will be. And that's not because of radio and it's not because of the strategy. It's because we let it get watered down. And
That
so
clarity
I'm
up
on
front,
record.
that clarity up front is absolutely necessary. And if you don't have that, you're just setting yourself up for more troubles down the road.
I had this last month. Well, no, beginning part of this year, I have a client who has a giant global company who's their investor with the option to buy. And so, in theory, they were hands off in letting us do all the advertising. But in reality, we would write a bunch of stuff and get stuff ready and get magazine ads ready. And then I would get a call 2 weeks later from someone who was offended by one of the words we used on the magazine copy or something like that. And it would turn out that they had. So I sat down with the owner and I was like, look, you look at me. You understand that they're fucking up the plan, right? And he's like, yeah, I know, but they are writing the next check. And I was like, okay, good. Then I am going to stop fighting with you because you need somebody on your side, and that's going to be me. I'm going to be on your side. So here's what I need from you. Anytime you suggest a change, I need you to say, we had a code word. I need you to use this code word. And when you use that code word, I will immediately stop pushing back and switch to, hell yeah, let's make this shit work. Because I'll know that what you're saying is you're blinking 3 times like a hostage. and and you're letting me know that you know this is a bad idea, but you need me to go to bat and make it work because someone's pushing pressure from down below. But when I said that, it put him in the position where he knew anytime he used that safe word that we were about to do a less good plan. And I never had to excuse the plan after that because he had specifically requested the less good plan. And mentally, it put him in a really great place for when we kicked them to the curb in December completely. He was like, finally, we can do all these crazy, cool things that you wanted to do. And ironically, he had been nervous about them before that. But as soon as the investors told him he couldn't, he was all of a sudden ready to give it a try.
Yeah. So Kevin,
So
I
is
have a
that,
question for you. I have a question
go
for you.
ahead,
Sorry,
Paul.
Daniel. Is there any specific thing that you've experienced where you're like, or is there anything that we've said that is going to help you figure that out?
Um, yeah, and I particularly like the having the conversation with who is supposedly the decision maker, the owner, the person in charge, and saying, talking about how this isn't a good idea, essentially, and here's what typically goes wrong. And I've had some of those conversations kind of light, uh,
Mm.
and they always say, "Oh, sure, but that won't happen with us because we're different." And sure enough, they are not different.
No.
Every time it happens, um, it's just how it goes, right? Um,
Yeah, with those conversations, Kevin, be in their face. Be in their face and
Yeah.
say it 5 times if you have to. And then once it starts, if you notice that it's starting to go off the rails again 5 months down the road, say it again. Hey, remember that conversation we had back in April? Yeah.
Turns out you're not different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think so. So this is true, and Kevin, you've heard us say, you've heard Roy say this before you met me, and before I was on campus. You've heard me say it as long as you've known me, and every partner you've ever talked to. But a fundamental rule of consulting at any level whatsoever is you do zero favors to anybody by soft touching hard conversations. And that's true with sales, like being too soft about how expensive this is about to get, or not being upfront about the expenses this thing is about to cost. And it's true about consulting, where it's in situations like this, like we do zero favors of being gentle with the hard conversations, you know, just no favors. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the super complicated start to the morning. I love those. Don't get me wrong. I actually really enjoy the complexity of those kinds of questions. What do we got next, Paul? Rosa, all right. I love that I'm seeing people and their question. This is so much more fun. We know that typically when a business starts on the radio with a great ad that is memorable, catchy, and different, the client will tell you about all the people that keep telling them about hearing their ads on the air. Yeah, absolutely. We as consultants know that this is common, and we even tell the clients to be aware of this. And eventually, this does cut down or go away with time. And they will say to us, I don't have as many people telling me they hear me on the radio anymore. The listener doesn't say that to the business owner well because it gets annoying after a while and they will sound repetitive. Absolutely. We all know and tell our clients about this. The listener hears it, it just doesn't mention it as much. What would you say to your client that says, I'm not sure how effective my ads are being because people don't tell me they hear it as much as before? Um, Rosa, analogies are the only way I've ever figured this one out. Um, and that means finding ways in your a normal life where this pattern is also replicated, and pointing it out to them that this is not a radio pattern. This is a human being pattern. You know what I mean? I mean, and think about like how much did you say I love you to your partner when the first year you were together? How much did you say I love you the second, third, fourth, and 10th year you were together? How much did you have to be reminded to be like, hey, just I need to hear that regularly. That doesn't right. And uh good advertising is a romance and a relationship and a so it's like once you fall in love with a brand, it's not easy to remember to tell them how much you like them over and over and over after that first experience. Like you have your first great experience at a car dealership or your first great experience with a plumber or a first great experience at a jewelry store. You're going to be real loud on Google or real loud when you see them next or real loud about it to your friends. But if you keep doing that, everyone in your life is eventually going to be like, dude, we get it. What are they paying you? And so people don't want to be embarrassed like that. And so the only way, and you can tell them this maybe, and this is what I've said that worked in the past, was find the analogy that works for you that they understand that that's the awkward position that people are in and be very blatant about it, like we were saying to Kevin. The other one is said is like, look, if you want to have them talk about you again, we have to do something equally remarkable soon. Not sales wise or just like we need to change the script so that it catches them off guard. And then they remark on the thing that caught them off guard, as opposed to, hey, I heard you on the radio. Hey, I heard your. Does that make sense? If you're thinking about a relationship, it's, you've been with someone for a while and then you're like, you know what, let's get dressed up fancy. And you're sitting in the living room and they walk in like really ready to rock. And you stop and go, holy crap, you look incredible. Right? You need an ad like that. You need something, and it doesn't need to be a deal or a coupon, or it just needs to be a new, remarkable way to say the thing that's important about them that kind of catches everybody off guard for a second and gives people something new to remark on the next time they see them. Like, your ad really caught me off guard this week. It was really funny, or it was really clever, or it was like, oh, it was really endearing, So that's the only way to get people to talk again. But that one will wear off just the same way the first one wore off. And so you're better off keeping them from getting addicted to that dopamine rush of people mentioning it to their face, and wean them off of that if you can. But yeah, mileage may vary. Is that helpful?
Yes,
Okay.
that's cool. And I'm going to show them a clip of this. I don't know how we can clip it or whatever, but
So yeah, link the whole thing. If it's
yeah.
or if you use QuickTime video on your laptop,
No.
like
Rosa, we'll get you. I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it.
Oh, awesome.
gosh.
Thank you. I think she'll
As
be
for
so excited to hear it. And it is really having someone repeat what you've already said, like in a relationship again, when I tell my husband, like, you gotta try this at this restaurant. And then he comes and he's like, oh, I don't know about that. And then he'll come home and you'll be like, Jeff, like, introduce me to this one restaurant. I'm like, this is crazy. I've been telling you for years to try this. It's having a second
Yeah,
person echo it. Really, I think that'll help for sure.
I totally agree.
So much.
Yeah, great. All right. I don't actually know how many questions we have. How many do we have, Paul?
We have a total of, let's see, that was Rosa. So we have two more.
Okay,
And
cool.
one of them
Well,
has 2 ads. So,
all right.
but let's go with Rob next.
Rob.
Oh, hey, hold on. Let me hit the button. There we go.
There we go. Hello, wizards. The U.S. government is, Jesus. Man, this is a rough morning. The U.S. government is about to put tariffs on not set, just did, coming into the U.S. and Canadian guy. Although, who the fuck knows? That wind blows like a fart in every direction, depending on the whim. This has become a rallying point for some businesses to use the buy Canadian made, while other businesses are concerned that the tariff will have an adverse effect on their sale of products. We already have a lot of requests from clients to update their credit to mention the made in Canada line. Yeah, I get that. If all clients do this, it will become very repetitive on our station. Agreed. And no one will stand out. My question is, do you have any advice for both of these types of clients? So the people who are, hell yeah, tell them we're made in Canada. This would change for me, Rob, completely depending on the client. And I know that feels like a non-answer, so I'm going to give you a few variations. Fair? Because I would answer this based on the character and the culture of the ads that had been leading up to this previously, as opposed to taking their existing ads and just slapping a Canada stamp on it. So if they are legitimately Canadian and okay, if they're a services company, then they are Canadian because they're in Canada. And that's kind of hilarious. But it would be really funny to have an ad where it's like, our owners are made in Canada. You know what I mean? I'm the so-and-so plumber. I was born in whatever. I was born in Regina. So technically, I was made in Canada. A significant portion of our techs were also made in Canada. The rest got here as fast as they could. Right. So that would be a really hilarious way to do that for services type thing. But it would have to be in character with the previous ads people like that had put out. Right. What you need to avoid is exactly what you were afraid of, but you know that, and so you will. What you're afraid of is the rubber stamp bullshit that just tacks on a meaningless phrase. In whiskey, that's called like small batch, handcrafted, family recipes, like whatever. It doesn't mean anything, right? There's no legal definition to small batch. So any client that says they want to do that, pause, tell them what you just told me and say, yes, absolutely. I think it could be valuable because there are a lot of people, maybe me included, who would love to be like, this is a good excuse to pull the trigger on supporting Canadian made products, which maybe we should have been doing the whole time. So how do we tell it in your voice? How do we talk about Canadian made in your voice? And how do we be honest about it if not everything is Canadian that you do? Right. And that's it. Vulnerability and honesty about those things. Now, the people who are worried about it, I would say do nothing. And Paul can push back on me with this one if he wants to, but I would just say, keep doing what you're doing. Be yourself. This is going to be a wildflower that starts and burns and then goes out and then gets lit again on the left and burns out and then gets lit again on this side and then burns out. And you just keep doing you and being the business owner that you are, and you write it out. And if people ask you in person, you be honest about like, nah, it's just not our business model. I wish it was. We're looking into ways that we could maybe help to avoid this kind of situation in the future or spread out our sources of materials. But like, we're a liquor store that only sells bourbon, and that legally can only come from the US. So we have no choice. No matter what, in character of the brand, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable are the two solutions to that one, I think.
Yeah.
Paul, you have any thoughts?
I'm not going to push back at you at all, because that's exactly what I'd say too, is be you, be your character, and add that entertainment into things, because that's what's going to bring down the walls of tightness that we all have, and you're going to increase the likelihood of people remembering those ads, for one thing, and remembering you. But again, make sure you do it in your voice. So no, do something, but make it entertaining.
Yeah. And by entertaining, and I always have to say this, entertaining doesn't mean funny.
Right.
everyone hears the word entertainment and they think comedy, but entertainment just means to hold your attention. So just do it in a way that, like, if you're gonna do it, don't tack it on to the end. Make it the point of an ad. And then if you're not gonna do it, then don't bother in any way. But if you're just gonna say now made in Canada, that's the least effective version of that. Yeah. Is that helpful, Rob?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And it's kind of an ever-changing thing, right? I mean, it's already changed the tariffs.
Changed 3 times in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, so I mean that's like I had to laugh because I mean since I put the question in, it's really kind of not almost relevant anymore.
But you know, it would be a hilarious ad if you already have a brand that has an owner talking and they want to do the Canadian thing, and this was up to me, I'd be like, guys, we've got a really great opportunity here that has almost nothing to do with whether or not we are Canadian and has everything to do with being hilarious. And it would be like, I want to have my business owner being like, it's been brought to my attention that I should let you know that all of our plumbers are Canadian. And then someone in the background goes, have your, and you're like, oh, wait, no, it's not a thing anymore. We can, oh, it's still okay. It's fine. I mean, we are Canadian, but evidently it's not a thing anymore. So regardless, what we do, oh, it's a thing again. Oh man. Okay, well, we are still Canadian.
Yeah, that's spot on. That's perfect.
Yeah, I would hear that ad, and I would share it with everybody I know because it's an ongoing political statement that doesn't actually choose political sides.
Yeah. And I was talking and I remembered that, hey, I have a mute button here that I have to unmute.
That's fair.
That reminds me of Asia Gray and her ads.
Yeah.
Take the things that are obvious, but then explode them into something even grander and bigger that we all know is true, and have fun with it. And that, again, it's not an ad per se, but it's something that's going to grab my attention. And and as Daniel said, I'll share that with everybody because it's hilarious, or it's attention grabbing, and again, it speaks to the truth, but expands upon it.
Is there a specific, since this is the second to last ad, is there a specific client in your brain that was like the toughest nut to crack on this specific topic?
Not really. Like I had like a roofing guy that was gonna, talk about Canadian made shingles, but he admittedly said the Canadian shingles aren't as good and they're more
Don't do that. Instead, have that guy go, we only roof houses in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we only deal with Canadian houses. Where does he live?
Yeah, he's in Regina. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's like we had thought about doing American houses, but that's a really long commute.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because that would be hilarious. We're a roofer in Regina who only roofs Canadian houses.
Yeah.
Oh, Canada. And then it cuts out our home and it fades out into the slow.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would have so much fun with those. Cool. All right. Well, good luck, Rob. I'd love to hear them if you end up writing one.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, at some point we should do an Ask the Wizards happy hour where everyone just brings the ad they're most proud of after having had these conversations together as a group. And we crack open a drink and get on Zoom and everyone just shares the various ads and we all get to hear the product of these conversations. I feel like that would be really fun.
I think that is a good idea.
Yeah. Cool. I'll work on figuring out when that would be.
One you're talking about where it's like, oh, that's a thing again? Oh, wait, okay.
Yeah.
Like that was great.
It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
All right. What's our final question? Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
I love that you still put Brother Noble up there because I think Roy called you Brother Noble from the very first time I ever heard your name. And it continued to for fucking ever, basically.
Bit of a throwback.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Paul. Go ahead. We have a client, New Finish. They've been on with us for almost a year. The very first ad we created for them was conversational banter. Back in the fall, we shifted from that style to having the owners of the company, a husband and wife, come in for a couple of recording sessions. Okay. Sessions were unscripted, and I asked them questions and crafted the commercials around what they said. These commercials are from their second recording session, which went much better. Of course it did. And they're only going to get better. The first ad is their origin story, which has been running for a couple of months. The second, I dropped the announcer and just let the owners talk. What are your thoughts on only naming the business one time at the very end of the commercial? And does the refresh ad need the announcer? How risky is it once it goes on the air? And what should the account exec say to the client when he plays the new ad for them? All right. Yeah. Wait, do I get a... We're about to do
Time
the
frame for the majority of our projects is between 1 and 3 days.
New Finish will transform your home and save you money.
If we're doing a kitchen cabinet refacing, typically people are going to see between 50 and 75% cost savings over putting new in. If you're looking to have a bathroom updated, we see upwards of over 80% savings.
When we first got started, we were first-time homeowners. We were young. We had just had our first baby. We were looking around our own house at what needed to be done, comparing that to what we could afford. Really, when he started digging into, hey, I can redo our bathroom for a lot less money than ripping out and replacing everything. We started doing things in our home, in friends' homes, and then it just went from there, and we built a business out of it. 2025 is 20 years in business for us.
Ready for your new finish? Just New Finish it.
Call us or reach us on our website. It's newfinishonline.com. Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jen Spencer, and we are the owners of New Finish. We often get phone calls that my daughter's graduation is coming up. I'd really like my kitchen to look better before we host all these people.
We find most homeowners are really shocked by the fact that we can complete it so fast. They're having that new look in less than a week.
A lot of our customers have very quality cabinets. They don't necessarily need to rip out and replace, so they're going to get new doors, new drawer fronts, soft close hidden hinges, upgraded knobs and pulls. They're going to get that new looking kitchen without the hefty price tag of remodeling and without that long timeline.
Another option that people select when they're updating their kitchen is our kitchen refresh package, where we refinish your kitchen cabinets. We'll come in and refinish your existing countertop, and then we could put up a new backsplash for you as well. Getting a whole kitchen transformation without having to replace anything.
We are located on the corner of Gratiot and Center in Saginaw. Our showroom is a great place to stop in and just get some ideas or inspiration. We're there from 8 to 4, and I'm always happy to help.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jen Spencer, and we are the owners of New Finish.
the announcer back in if I were you.
Hey, Daniel, you might want to...
Or
You're going to have to restart that. Sorry.
Oh, because I was muted for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Second one was awesome. First one was great. Second one was better. Get rid of the announcer. Don't ever bring them back. I'm already digging the husband and wife duo. It's endearing. I want to hear them into the ad with their voice. One little thing about this that I'm going to tell you why it's so good. For anybody listening to this, if you're dealing with an owner and they don't have a great radio voice, like he does not have a great radio voice. She does, but he doesn't. But because they gave him so many sentences, you stop thinking of it as a radio voice and start thinking of it as a person, and you actually hear his tone and his vibe. And I can picture standing in my kitchen with that guy while he looks around and tells me what he can do. Like, that guy is every guy I've ever had come to my house and offer to hire to do work. Just chill. Nothing's that big of a deal. We got this. And you only get that vibe because you let him talk so long. Keep doing that. And so I wrote it down while he was talking, but his first sentence in the first ad, he said the first sentence and I thought, wow, that's a real monotone voice. But then by the time we got to his third sentence, I was like, I like this guy. He's super chill. So that's just a well executed. The second ad, you probably need it to keep it to the length of time. I would have cut half of that ad out and made it half as long. But it's still, that's personal opinion. It's still a flawless ad, I think. And I think you're headed a great direction. The one little the reason I thought I would cut that is because it started to feel a little bit like a porcupine, like you're trying to hit too many things in that second ad. But they were both about the kitchen. So by the time we got done, I reconsidered my opinion a little, but I still think like maybe tighten that one up a little, because I loved the idea of we can overhaul your kitchen in preparation for a whole bunch of people. And I loved the big idea of we can change 2 small things and it'll feel like a whole new kitchen. And to me, that's 2 different ideas and that's 2 different ads. But how you've executed the ads, change nothing. And tell those owners they are awesome. And I wish they lived in Austin because I've been looking for someone to do this for me for 4 years. And yeah, dang it. Paul, you got any thoughts?
No, none at all.
I mean, dang, well done, guys. I hope when they see this, they get they're sitting close enough to each other to pat each other on the back. And well done on getting the owners in. And I'll tell you, even in that first ad, I don't know if everybody who's currently on camera with us right now feels it, but that first ad did not feel like those owners were uncomfortable.
I would say that the beginning of it, Daniel, was a little rough, but no, I had the same exact thoughts. That was a well done ad, and the second ad was much better and much more approachable.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, well, rock and roll, guys. It's good to see your faces. Glad you're here. If we did, since you're here, if we did a